Welcome everyone to our 2022 Logos and Mythos Summer Reading. I am joined tonight by Candice Marley Conner, who I am so excited to have here. Welcome, Candice.
Thank you, Joy. I am so excited to be here.
Yay, Candice is the author of The Existence of Bea Pearl, which is a YA mystery with a gothic flair that I absolutely adore. And she is also the author of a couple of adorable picture books that I hope you'll tell us a little bit more about tonight as well.
I'll be happy to.
Yeah, and just so you guys know, the way that this works is go to joyerankatory.com/summer-reading, and that's where all the details are. So if you are not sure how this summer reading thing works, if you want to know how you can earn points and win prizes, everything is there. So for Candice is giving away an autographed copy of Bea Pearl. And so to get that, you have to have the most points from this week, and all the details about that you'll find on the page. But one of the ways to earn points is by watching this recording, and be sure to comment. Let us know something that you liked, or ask Candice a question, or whatever. Just make sure that you comment, and that's how we'll know that you watched it. And you'll get your 10 points from this. So.
And I'm also going to put in a little bit of a swampy swag, which is a bookmark. And then I also have a sticker, but I don't have a sticker right here to show. So it'll be a surprise.
That's so exciting. I think, actually, I have it right here in my book.
Okay, you show
I do. Yes. Look, isn't that adorable?
Yes.
I love it. I love swag.
Me too.
All right. So tell us just a little bit more about yourself and about your books.
Okay. Well, my name is Candice Marley Conner, and I live on the Gulf Coast like Joy does, but I live in Alabama. And I am the kidlit haint at a haunted indie bookstore, which is actually how I met Joy when she came in to introduce herself to us. That was a awesome perk of the job, is to meet other authors. The Existence of Bea Pearl, a YA Southern mystery, like Joy was saying. It's about 16-year-old Bea Pearl who has to navigate the secrets of her small town and the river to find what happened to her mysteriously disappeared brother. Because if he can stop existing, can she too?
I love this book so much, y'all. Y'all are just in for a treat, I just have to say. So, do you want to tell us a little bit about your picture books too?
Sure. Okay.
I haven't talked a whole lot about that this week, but I know that I've got followers who have little kids and would probably love to hear about them.
Yes, I'll be happy to. So, last year's when all three of my books came out, the first one was Sassafras. She was supposed to come out in 2019, but with wildfires in California, which is where my publisher is, and then after that, then it was something else, and then it was COVID. So actually, it came out within a week of each other. So that was bananas.
Okay, you had to have been like crazy exhausted. Like I kept thinking, oh my gosh, how is she doing this?
Well, I'd never debuted before, so I didn't have a standard for comparison, and I already knew that it would be a potentially overwhelming situation. So I planned to be overwhelmed. And by planning to be overwhelmed, I was like, oh, okay, I got this.
There you go.
This is Sassafras and her teeny tiny tail. So it's about a little squirrel who has a short tail, as the title says. And because of her short tail, she has troubles with balance and with communicating with other squirrels. And so she has to figure out how to make her differences save the day.
Aww.
And then
I love Sassafras.
This one is Chomsky. So he came out in October. So I had a little bit of a breathing room for him. But by that time, I was still catching my breath from the other two because like preschools had just opened up. And so I was able to do in-school events. And so I was busy promoting Sassafras for the first time in person. So with Chomsky, it was like, oh, wait, I have another one now, too. And so it was kind of just a little scattered. But Chomsky Chomp's books is about a alligator who really wants to enjoy books the way his book club friends do. But the words don't stay still. They fly out the pages. And so he has to figure out there are other ways to learn. And both of my picture books are printed in dyslexia fonts. which means they're weighted, and so there's less switching.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, and it's also great for neurodivergent kids as well because a lot under the age of 7, all kids are going to be swapping words and stuff. So it kind of just builds confidence in reading, and every kid needs more confidence in reading.
Yes, definitely. And as the mom to a kid with who struggles a little bit with dyslexia and the wife to a fellow who has struggled with that his whole life, I know that that is super needed and super appreciated. So I love that you did that. And that's a great topic and something that we need more books on too. Like,
Definitely. I don't know why they don't print more picture books in dyslexia fonts.
yeah.
The publisher did say it was a little bit more expensive too, but
Mhm.
I did notice that Andrea Beatty's new picture book in her questionnaire series, which is printed by one of the big five, it's
Mhm.
in dyslexia fonts because the main character is dyslexic. And I was like, yay, finally, like, let's get these, all these books need to be printed in dyslexia fonts.
Yes. I agree. Wholeheartedly. All right. So, would you like to tell us anything more about Bea Pearl? Like, is there any thing like the story behind it, or is there anything specific, like a favorite character or something that you want to share?
So, Bea Pearl is my ode to the river system that I grew up on. So, like all the times that Bea Pearl's in the swamp is like times that I've also experienced in the swamp, except maybe not as creepy. And I've never actually seen a swamp monkey.
I was
That
wondering.
that came about because my mom is a retired teacher now, but when she before she retired, one of her students brought in a primate skull, and they're like, "What is this?" For my dad to identify, and and um, and so I was like, "Wait, there's swamp monkeys?" And they're like, "Yes." They had this whole story about this railroad car returning in the '60s, and the monkeys still existing in the woods.
Oh
And
my
at that
goodness.
point, I was at the part of the story that I was like, okay, I think that B Pearl's brother probably is dead, but B Pearl does not think he's dead, and her conviction makes me wonder, like, okay, so if the swamp monkeys can exist, then maybe her brother can exist too, and so that kind of gave me something else to think about when I was trying to figure out what all happened and to the extent of B. Pearl's conviction herself being correct and what happens in reality or the reality of the story.
Yeah.
But so the place I grew up, we used to be a recreational hotspot from the 30s to the 70s because it has a artesian fed pool and it had a restaurant like B. Pearl's does. So the way everything is described is actually there in real life. And so it's really easy to use what already exists there. So that way, when I'm describing things, I can keep everything spatially oriented. Because I know a lot of times, like people have maps in the book, and you have to flip to find the map of like, okay, well, this makes sense of where they're traveling to and things like that. So putting it in a real life situation helped me um, take that spatial awareness and then just creepify it with like the shadows and the river that you never know what they're actually thinking, things like that.
Mhm.
But one of the things that I was really proud of is that I wanted Be Pearl to be kind of a platform and a way of, and this goes along with Chomsky also, where that you can't really love something unless you understand it. So with Chomsky, he wanted to love books, but he couldn't really grasp reading, so he couldn't actually love it. And with in the regards to Bee Pearl, people see swamps and like rivers as like not really anything, like just something as a it's like a trash dump sometimes. Like if you
Mhm.
see all the litter that's around the rivers and everything. And so I wanted to use Bee Pearl as a platform to kind of showcase that there is so much atmosphere and biodiversity in the river systems. And so the sticker that Joy showed you earlier, a friend of mine, Erica Ross, I commissioned her to do a bunch of native plants and animals. And we had those up on a threadless shop. And so all the proceeds go to the Alabama Rivers Alliance. So I
Oh,
was really
cool.
proud to be able to take my love of decaying swamp things and try to do some good with it.
That is so cool. I have I know a girl who wrote a book with all of the different not native species, like the invasive species in our area that you find along the bayous and stuff. So she had a little bit of a different reason for it, but there were things that we see all the time, and I had no idea that they were invasive. And like
Mhm,
she kind of showed why they make things a little bit difficult in our environment and where they came
mhm,
from and like how they got here and all of those things. And so I think all of that is so fascinating. And something that I have said a couple of times in comments is your your swamp, your setting is a character. And I
yes.
love that. I absolutely love that. Like it's just it comes alive and you're a very sensory writer. So it appeals to all the senses and it just makes reading even more pleasurable.
Awesome, yay! That's great to hear, thank you.
Uh, so what do you love about being an author?
Um, I love interacting with the readers, like, that's the icing on the cake, but there's such a satisfaction of creating something from just what's milling around in my head and then actually being able to hold it, like, making it tangible. Like, that was something that I wanted to do my entire life, and Bea Pearl took about 10 years to write, and well, it didn't take that long to write, it took that long to edit
Yeah.
and revise and find the agent and the publisher and all that fun stuff. But just to being able to create something like that just from my personal experiences or just my perspective and being able to share that and taking the thoughts that are in my head and making them so somebody else can hold is just the best feeling in the world.
Yeah. So when you got that first copy, did you cry?
I definitely got teary eyed, yes.
I know
Yes.
it's a very emotional thing.
It is. Hmm.
Yeah. So since this is summer reading challenge, which by the way, guys, be sure to see. I have 8 categories, and whoever reads the most books in those categories will also win a big grand prize at the end of the summer. So you can check those out on that page I mentioned earlier. But since we're talking about summer reading, what are you currently reading?
I just finished This Vicious Grace last night. It's
Oh,
by Emily C. And I do have the art that I believe it's out now. It came out last week, I think, or 2 weeks ago. But it's really good. It takes place on the Amalfi Coast, which is off of Italy. And
okay.
it's a really cool world building and a great argument on selfishness um, and just thinking for others and selfishness and everything. And it's interesting the way that each one is twisted in the story about who is actually the hero and who's actually the villain. So it was really good.
Wow. I love the cover too.
Yeah,
Very intriguing.
yeah, maybe it's the black with the
Yes.
nipples on it.
I love those colors. I know my covers are like black too with like
Hmm.
doesn't have the green because I love the green though, man. Oh. Oh. Okay, so let's see. My next question that I had for you was oh, I've switched questions. So I'm going back in time now. Do you have memories of summer reading as a kid? Do you have any specific ones that pop out?
Yes, so I remember getting like the McDonald's French fries, going to the library and our kids' time at one point was down in the basement of the library. So in a B. Pearl short story that I have in the anthology that the publisher put out a couple years ago, it takes place down there, and so I tried to make it a little more eerie and creepy. But the way I remember it, like it was a really weird aqua color, kind of like what they used to paint pools back in the 80s. So it was a really
Mhm.
weird color, and there was always like odd humming, and like the pipes were making noises, and there was doors that we couldn't open and go into, and like the book stacks would go from the floor to the ceiling. So it's almost like a forest of books. But then if you think about books is made from paper and trees, and it was actually a forest. And so that stuck with me. Like I don't even know if you can go down there anymore. Um, but that was one of my favorite places because it was nice and cold down there too because it's in the basement.
Yeah.
And on the Gulf Coast, you don't really have very many basements.
That is very true.
It might have been my only time ever being in a basement, so maybe that's why it sticks out in my head. But yes, I love to get my little coupons to get Pizza Huts and French fries and ice creams.
Yes, that was the best.
Mhm.
Oh, I love it. And so now, like going back to your current read, something that's nice for you is because you work at a bookstore, you get to read all sorts of awesome books as they come in.
Yes. Yes, so most of those stacks behind me are art. I read all those. The
Yeah.
My daughter's actually in a book fort now because there are just stacks of books that we haven't read yet. But uh, I have excuse me, an 11-year-old and an almost 9-year-old, and so they are big helps with the middle grade and chapter books. So
I
that way I can
bet.
get through the list and we can see what we need to carry a little bit faster now.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. That's great to have helpers.
Yes, they're great helpers.
Aw. So what are you working on writing next?
I just submitted, well, excuse me, I just finished the next draft of my, it's a witchy eco fantasy that's set in the Mobile Delta this time rather than a river system. And it's got a haunted bookshop and just all my favorite things. And it was a lot of fun to write. Dual point of view. So I just finished my the next draft, but my agent's on maternity leave. So
Mm,
that gives me time to make sure I have everything like I want to before I can send it to her.
yeah. That is so exciting. So I have heard a little bit about this story a few times. So I'm very excited to see it in real life one of these days.
What's funny though is I described the bookstore as it is now, but we're moving locations. So when the
That's
book,
true.
if it does actually get picked up and go out into the real world, people are gonna be like, "Well, this doesn't actually match because it's based on the old location or the new one."
That could be a potential future revision, maybe.
Well, I thought it would work best because there's easy attic access and they go up into the attic a good bit, and
Mhm.
that might not be safe for kids to actually do because there is a giant hole in the floor like there is in the book, and so I wouldn't want kids to follow the book too closely. So it might be a good thing that we're changing locations.
That's true. Yeah, that's another thing. I cannot wait to come to Mobile and see the new location. All the work that y'all have been doing, it looks amazing.
Mhm. I'm very excited.
Mm. All right. So, is there anything else that you would like to share with us before we kind of close out with where people can get to know you a little better?
No, just that I'm glad that there's an audience for Bea Pearl because she was my home that I wanted to share with everybody else. So that other people are interested and just as enamored of the gothic goodness of the woods and everything makes me really happy.
Yeah.
They're my
Oh.
people.
That's awesome. So, where can people follow you and find you the most?
I am on pretty much all the social medias. I don't have all my things memorized, but it's some derivative of Candice Marley Conner. And I'm on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter.
Perfect. And if you guys can't remember, if you go to that one summer reading page, you'll see her beautiful picture and you can click on it. It'll take you to her website. So,
Yes, yes, my website, I do know that one. That's CandiceMarleyConner.com. Super easy for me to remember.
yeah,
And it does have my social media links on there also.
perfect. Well, thank you so much for joining me for this summer. It has been such a blast to see your comments and your posts and your quotes and all of your things.
Well, thank you so much for having me, Joy. I've definitely had my to be read list increase, which is dangerous around here because I might topple
I
over.
know, right? That is the one downside, if you can call it that, to having a summer reading challenge.
Or you can just put another stack up to it and shore it up a little bit. That's what we're doing here.
There you go. Just have a bigger book fort.
Yes.
Oh, well, thank you again for joining us, and thank you all for watching.
And thank y'all.
Bye.
Bye bye.